So, paragraph chapter 8.6.0 is here. Our new killer is Kaneki, the main character from Tokyo Ghoul. And I'm just going to be upfront about this. I have never seen Tokyo Ghoul. I don't know anything about Tokyo Ghoul. I don't know what goes on in that show. I don't know the lore. I don't know anything. So everything that I'm doing, everything that my opinions are all judged based solely on how the killer plays and nothing else. So I don't know how well they were adapted. I don't know how many references are okay. I don't know anything about that. I just know how the killer plays. Played about 3 to 4 games with Kaneki. We ended up getting my community to come in and help us. And generally speaking, Kaneki's fine. Perfectly fine. I ended up showing, I'm gonna throw it on screen now. My tier list, I put Kaneki above Hag, but below Deathslinger in terms of strength. So he's not that strong, but I'm okay with that. Not every killer that releases has to be high A tier or something like that. We can have decently, powered killers. It's perfectly okay. This killer has a high skill floor, very high skill floor. The dash mechanic takes a lot of getting used to, but because you cannot down with the power, you can only injure. And because there's a very effective way to get rid of the mark that Kaneki gives you, which powers him up, that's where the strength problem comes in. So the power takes a lot of getting used to. You're gonna you slingshot yourself off of a wall, look at a survivor, slingshot over to them, give them an injure, then you get to play like an M1 killer. Or if you want to, you can try to play it in a hit and run style. The problem is, I don't think you can. You can try, but I don't think you can. So it was very bold of behavior to nerf mending in the exact same patch where they drop a killer who relies on survivors not mending. Whenever you injure a survivor with your power, it gives that survivor a mark, and that mark goes away after they mend. But while they are marked, you get 3 dashes instead of 2. That 3 dashes is where you need to be in order to utilize the killer to the best of their abilities. You're going to be using the power more for map traversal than anything else. You can try to use it in chase, but it's not really that great. The vault is very slow when you use it to vault, and he's also a bit janky. Changes that I would make to Kaneki, and the only 2 that I would, is number 1, let you slingshot off of the ground and off of ceilings. And the reason I say that is because on a map like, for example, Cockwind Farms, you don't really have a lot to slingshot off of. I think you should be able to slingshot off the ground, and they need to lower the fatigue window between going into your cooldown and being able to M1. Outside of those 2, Kaneki is fine. Let's talk about Kaneki's perks. So you have the Hex perk, which after you hit 8 survivors with a basic attack, the Hex perk lights up, and then the next time you hit any survivor with a basic attack, they become hindered by 5% for 15 seconds. This is incredibly powerful only on certain killers. Because it doesn't activate to the mid game, you can't throw this on Myers or Ghostface or Trapper or Skull Merchant and expect to get a lot of value out of it, because by the mid game, you want to ideally be much further ahead. But killers like Clown, Freddy, Cenobite, RIP Cenobite, each of those killers are going to find a lot of use out of this Hex perk. It's going to do really well for them because they already have a strong mid game. They're able to be even stronger in that mid game. The next perk is the one where every time you injure a survivor, you get a token, up to 10 tokens. Once you reach 10 tokens, you get a 4% pickup, drop, and unhook speed per token. absolute trash. It's an absolute garbage perk, completely and utterly dog shit. I think that if they lowered the percentage to say 2.5 or 3% per token and then gave it fire ups effect, it would be cool to combine with fire up. So you could, like, by the end game, you could just have like this super fast pallet break animation and all this other stuff. But in general, okay, so you hit people 10 times, right? You injure people 10 times. By that point in the game, you're already so far ahead that this perk is just a win more button. Like, at that point, who gives a shit, right? It's just not a good perk. And then the last perk is every time you hook somebody, you get a token if it's the first time you're hooking them, a la No Way Out style. Once you reach forward to, once the exit gates are powered, all windows and pallets, upright pallets, become blocked for 12 seconds per token, meaning that it's another in-game perk. I'm happy about it. It's going to go into some of my in-game builds. I already have some ideas on how to utilize it. Very powerful in-game perk, as a matter of fact, because at the maximum, it's 48 seconds of blocking everything, which when you block windows and block pallets, it's way harder for a survivor to loop. So combined with like no-ed, batteries included, and No Way Out, it's probably going to be a big problem in in-game builds, which I'm happy for. It's not so strong that you automatically win the game, but it's a very cool thing. Moving on to Legion. Legion feels better to play, but is still weak. Everything concerning Legion, these were basically, I mean, they were buffs technically, but they were just basically quality of life updates. I don't think that the Legion changes really moved him anywhere in the tiers. They're still relatively weak, but they do feel less janky to play. So that's all I really have to say. I don't have much more to say on Legion. Now, before we get to the big one, the Xeno changes, let's talk about the new map for a second. It is relatively small. It is a killer-sided map without a doubt. When we spawned in, the gates spawned 2 inches away from each other. In games on that map are going to be like in games on the Forbidden Ruins. They're going to be absolutely fucking miserable for survivors. It's a very powerful killer-sided map. Incredibly strong. I don't know about that one. But yeah, you can put that up there with Rotten Fields, the Azarov one that has the shack in the middle, Mid-Bitch, and Haddonfield as the killer-sided maps in the game. Finally, let's talk about Xenomorph. These changes cannot go through. They can't. They just can't. Xenomorph feels like utter dog shit to play now. It probably the worst changes I've seen since the Skull Merchant. The Xenomorph plays like absolute dog shit. You stay burned for fucking 5.5 years. There was one point where I took like a single burst. Like the flame turret saw me, I instantly blew it up, and I was still in the burn thing like damn near 25 seconds later. Like it was so monumental, and I was running emergency helmet. I was running double turret add-ons just to see, and it still was just a monumental amount of time. All the survivors have to do is run you from turret to turret to turret to turret, and you get knocked out of your power. It's shit. It's so bad. It requires no thought to play against the Xenomorph now. It's one of the easiest things in the world. It's absolutely trash. The tail attack feels awful. You have to pre-swing the tail attack. If you want to hit anybody, you have to pre-swing the tail attack. You have to press the button as you're moving into position. It's just bad. It just feels like shit. They need to walk back every single change on the Xenomorph and just leave the Xenomorph where they're at, because it feels like trash. It plays like trash. They cannot let these changes go through. I see no reason to let the Xenomorph changes go through. It's just absolute trash. It is quite frankly one of the worst decisions they've made in general. Overall, I think the chapter's a plus. Most of the stuff being added is amazing. I think the mending timer nerf is still kind of dumb. The Xenomorph changes are complete fucking just garbage. But everything else is great. Kaneki feels fun. Legion feels fun. I didn't test Chucky, but one of my Chucky friends, the fake Bennett, told me that they feel okay or feel good. The perk changes are working as intended, working fine. The new knockout is very powerful. I still don't know why it's called knockout. We could have just removed the aura reading, but hey, it's still a good perk. So it is what it is. Overall, I like the new chapter. Walk back the Xenomorph changes, and that's about it. But as a final aside, a great big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. You want to find out how to become a channel member today, get awesome perks like seeing videos early, merch discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. And a big thank you to my Twitch chat. If you're watching this on the YouTube, I may or may not be live by the time it does go live. I don't know, because I'm going to go edit it, and then I'm going to see how I feel after the edit. But outside of that, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.